G'day everyone, Jackson here. Welcome back to Daily Endeavours for Saturday the 18th of October. As always, timecodes will be in the description if you want to jump ahead. And the Golden Vendor will be out at the... I'll be going through that at the end of the video. I'll have a time set for that too. This set's pretty good. My advice, I would go jury crafting, Clockwork Foes, and skill styles, or if you don't have jury crafting, because if you don't have Somerset, for example, chests and treasure maps, damage to structures, and Cyrodiil. Both of these are pretty good options and usually pretty cheap, though both will usually require some kind of investment, or you'll need to get a treasure map from another source. You can do active skill styles while you do the other stuff, like when you're running around trying to find some stuff to repair, you can just cast a skill, but some of the skills you need to use will need a target. In that case, it's just a minute or two just spamming them on like a target or a target like dummy in the area for scribing. God, what it's called? Keep forgetting the name. Galarium, that's right. Alright, so I'll start with deconstructing. Unfortunately, other than that, you can't really do multiple of these at the same time, unless maybe you get a treasure map in Clockwork City. But yeah, it's just depends. Yeah, I'll just start. I'll try what I can, but I'll just start with jury crafting. So you need 8 items. The cheapest way you can do this through crafting is crafting 8 rings with... It's 16 pewter in total. That's all you need. Even at level 1 with jury crafting, you can do this. So just craft as many as you need. In this case, I'll just craft a couple so I can do some of the other endeavors. But yeah, just go through, deconstruct a bunch of those, and that's how you can get that one done. Now, if you need some pewter, you can do a couple of things. One is one way to just get a bunch to deconstruct, basically guaranteed. We'll just go through that first. Dolmens, right? So every time you complete a dolmen, you get a chest at the end. The chest will give you a piece of jury. This is also a way to get you treasure maps, though even if you do 8 dolmens to get 8 jury pieces, you might not get a single treasure map. But that is one of the sources for treasure maps in this game. So yeah, just get jury that way. That's one option. The others are, one of them is guild traders. For example, just checking this one here, you go in, you go to materials, you go jury crafting and go material. Don't buy the raw stuff because it's way more expensive. And yeah, like you get less of the refined stuff from the raw stuff because it's between 7 and 10 per stack that you refine. So you're guaranteed the 200 through refined stuff as well. So it's just, yeah, it's just doubly bad for you if you're just trying to do the endeavor. Pewter for 60 gold each. God, you got to be a bit careful when you're trying to go through buying this stuff. This is the part you want to be looking at when you're buying big stacks of any material in this game, not the actual full price. Because this full price could be low, but the amount you're buying per item could be very fucking high. Like in this case, 8.5 gold is the average, and it's fucking like, what is that? 700% more. Yeah, don't do it. That's okay. That'd be okay. That is a fair investment there, but that will get you sorted for jury endeavors for like months at least. So I think that's pretty good value. But yeah, it's up to you how much gold you got left. The other option is to go hunting for some jury yourself, or jury materials. Now, there is one caveat to this method. Some of the items that you get, like some of the items that you find in the wild, might not be stuff that you can use. Because some of it spawns based on your level, right? So I'm max level, so I get platinum, but I can't use anything other than pewter. So be aware, this could be much more of a pain in the ass to do than it looks. Because, yeah, you can get stuff that you can't use. But it's a 50% chance to get stuff that you can use. So, yeah, you can do this one eventually through that method too, but that's without a doubt going to be the longest for this strategy. You can also use surveys. Whenever you complete jury crafting writs, goddamn, I don't have any on me, but you get surveys through the miscellaneous and through consumables. It'll just be called like unidentified clothier survey or whatever. If you have any jury ones for those, if you do writs, that's one way to just get a bunch of materials very quickly. But yeah, that also is kind of unreliable. Next up is casting skills with active skill styles. God, everything's fucking broken in this game. So this one here, what you're looking for is any skill which has, it's got like a this icon here. So these are skill styles. So all you got to do is cast skills with these things active. Now, if you don't have any, right? If you're looking through and you just can't find anything, I'll go through some that you get through the scribing questline, which is base game. And you can get one very, very quickly. So this is the questline here. Second area of scribing is the first quest. It takes a couple of minutes to do. You get Soul Trap, Orchid Purple. The best one to use in the game, though, without needing a target, is Soothing Blue for Vigor, which you get from Wing of the Netch. So my advice, at least do second era, Wing of the Indrik, and then jump to Wing of the Netch and do that. But yeah, your mileage might vary in that case. But yeah, Soothing Blue, you don't need any targets, whereas Soul Trap, Orchid Purple, you do. So yeah, that's why I use that one. Yeah, if you were around a couple of, like last year sometime, there was like a free Crown Store event. I went through it when it was out, and it gave a bunch of skill styles for each of the classes. And for example, for Knife Blades, I think it was the Veiled Strike, Assassin's Blade, and Deathstroke, I think, were the three. But each of the classes got different ones, and some of the classes have skills that don't need a target. The reason not needing a target is good is because you can just cast it whenever you want while you're just doing other stuff. That's why I say do this while you do other stuff. Because if you don't need a target, you can just cast this while you're running around. But if you don't have one that you can use at any time, if it needs a target, let me go through that. So this is the Orchid Purple option that you get for the second era of scribing. One of the easiest to get in the game. So just chuck that on your bar somewhere. And just make sure when you look at it in this thing, make sure the little paintbrush is here. That means it's actually active. So in this room here, in the Scholarium, after you complete second era of scribing, this area will become available. Now, the first time I did this, I couldn't come in here. I left and then came back, and then it was available. So if you can't access this area, if it just grays out when you try and enter this, just leave the area and then come back, and it should be fine. As soon as you get in here, just cast the skill a bunch of times, and that'll be it. The only thing that'll slow you down is just how much magic you have. But yeah, 10 times should be really quick. Alright, third option, Clockwork Foes. These are different to the regular Dwarven Automata. You need to fight specific enemies. If you have the Clockwork DLC, basically the entire zone of Clockwork City is like fair game for this. But if you don't have this DLC, there is a base game option, which I'll show you now. It's just, the enemies are quite tanky because of the trial, but you can still do this just fine on your own, so long as you've got a decent heal. So this is Halls of Fabrication. As soon as you create a character, you can access this straight away from any way shrine. It's just like Infinite Archive. The only problem is, I wouldn't really do this on level 3, because the enemies in here are really tough. Just make sure you have a character with some decent AoE. If you have a low-level character, probably do one of the other options instead, like damage to structures, maybe, though you need to be level 10 for that. Alright, so these Fabricants, these are what you're looking for. So just chuck a bunch of AoE on, and a bunch of healing. The Kaguti isn't really worth fighting, even though you can't really avoid him coming after you. But what you want to do is just kill the Shulks, and there'll be a bunch of, you can't see them here, but there's some like Nyxhound Fabricants too. So when you start the fight, the Nyxhounds will come out. So what you want to do is just start this fight up. There we go, I accidentally did the active skill styles, but that's fine. So just group them up together and just AoE the shit out of them. Just keep trying to kite the Kaguti as much as you can, and when you see it like create a big hallway AoE on the floor, just avoid it, because that does a lot of damage. Just keep killing the little enemies. There you go, killed a bunch of those. Alright, now if possible, I just try and get out of here. So if you run away from the Kaguti when he's doing the charging animation, you can actually get through the door, and then he'll lose aggro eventually. So yeah, at this point, I just leave, because yeah, the Kaguti just takes ages to kill. So here's the exit here. If you entered through a way shrine, this will take you straight back to where you came in from, so it's very convenient. Alright, digging up chests from treasure maps. So to get a treasure map, I think the only real way you should bother is going to guild stores, going to trophy, go to treasure map here, go search, and just buy a cheap one that you have access to the zone and have wayshrines in. So if you're not familiar with any of these zones here, my advice is the ones that just, regardless of what you have unlocked, they'll be easy to use. They're called the trainee zones. So they're the early game zones that you start with as soon as you create a character. Knathi's Roost, Stros Mackay, Betnik, Bleakrock Isle, Balfoyen. If you have access to it, Artaeum treasure maps are good because this area is very tiny as well. But yeah, other than that, those are all the like easy zones as soon as you have access to them. So yeah, just try and find those. But sometimes you won't be able to, so you might have to run around looking in other guild stores. So again, just like with Peter, the more guild stores you check, the better chance you'll have of finding something good. Wow, not a single treasure map? What the fuck? Oh yeah, here you go. Beautiful. So there you go. 3 trainee zones here. I've got another one here for 150. Yeah, and yeah, Betnik down here. So if you don't have any gold at all, and you want to buy one of these, I have a tutorial in the description for you, just a video. And it'll show you just a method of getting some gold very quickly. It's just like an infinite source that's just slow. But it will, a couple of minutes, you'll be able to get this much gold to be able to buy this stuff. So check that out if you need. Yeah, anything more than like 200 gold, I both wouldn't bother with that tutorial and wouldn't bother buying these things. Just do one of the other options if you can. Okay, another thing I'll have in the description for you is a add-on. It's called Lost Treasure. It lists the little X icons on the map for you. So when you get a treasure map, and instead of having to view the reference of like the image it gives you, it'll just add it on the map so you can just skip that stuff. If that's not your thing. Yeah, if you haven't done the weekly yet, just remember to try and grab any resource nodes that you find on the way. Because yeah, that'll be part of the weekly. So as soon as you open up the dirt mound of the treasure map, it will complete the endeavor. You don't actually have to loot the treasure chest. I would recommend doing it though, because in most cases you'll get stuff that's worth grabbing. Yep, trainee piece. Cool. Alright, last option, repairing damage in Cyrodiil. Now 7,500 damage is 2 repair kits, which takes literally seconds to do. Most of the time you're going to be spending with this one is looking for some walls to repair. So firstly, you need some repair kits. Any quartermaster in the game gives you repair kits, regardless of faction. Every keep in this game has a quartermaster somewhere. Usually they're in the corner somewhere. So just look for these people. Usually they have a guild tabard on. So this one here, for example, just go into the store. Cyrodiil Repair Kits. You can buy them with AP, you can buy them with gold. Just whichever one works for you. So let's buy 2 of these for gold. Then go into your inventory, go to quick slots, and just make sure it's set in one of these slots here. And then you basically just use it as a potion. You just select it, and then you need to find a wall that needs to be repaired. Now, the easiest way to find out immediately is if you see these tools here. They're like stone lifting crane tools. These indicate that the wall needs to be repaired. So as soon as you see a bunch of these, you're all good. And the amount of damage that, like, all you need is literally just this wall here. If I just repair this, it'll do like a little bit of it. That's 1. That's 2. That's literally the whole endeavor. The only problem is sometimes you'll get to a keep and there's just nothing that needs to be repaired. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, that's the only issue you're going to have with this. Just run around, look at every keep you can, particularly the ones usually like further towards where the map is being contested. They tend to need repairing more, I find. But it's just, sometimes it's very random. Like, just look at every keep and make sure you look at every section that needs to be repaired. So as soon as you get in, there's the poststone walls here. They're usually the first one you want to check. You've got the gate's main door. This is usually always repaired though, from what I found. It's the easiest thing to break through, so people want it repaired. Then all the walls around, they all have like different health bars that need to be repaired. The last thing that usually gets fixed are these walls here, and they usually require the most as well. So when you get here, just always, like, if you can't see anything, just always check these sections here. because yeah, they're usually your best bet for repairing. And if that doesn't work, if you check every single keep and you just can't find anything, go to the other campaigns. There's 4 or 3 if you have no low levels, and just if you have any characters above level 10 from different factions and you see a bunch of keeps from different factions that you can check, just check those too. Just do everything you can to find one, because believe me, this is one of the like lowest effort endeavors in the game. For like 180 gold, you can do it in like a couple of seconds, basically, so long as you, I mean, provided that you can get to a keep very quickly with it. And yeah, don't forget to just cast active skill styles if you can while you're doing this, because yeah, just get 2 done at once. So it's time to take a quick look at the golden vendor. Now, let me be real with you now. I do not think any of this stuff is worth even a single like piece of gold to buy. The reason for this is for the jury, it's going to be being able to buy lower quality stuff for cheaper, and for these 2 monthly sets, they are both easy base game dungeons. Everybody's got access to them. That being said, I will explain like how they work, because yeah, there's everything here is kind of good. But yeah, I'll explain when I get to it. So, Infernal Guardian. This is from City of Ash 1. Very easy dungeon to do, even on vet hard mode. Basically, whenever the boss puts like the flame dot on you, just jump in the water and it takes it away. And yeah, basically trivializes it. The set itself is pretty good. Basically, anytime you shield, you deal a bunch of damage. So in PvE and PvP, it's like a good defensive set that just keeps you applying pressure while something else is applying pressure to you. So it's not bad. But obviously you need a shield in that case. Sorcerers are great with this because Ward is such a good shield. But if not, you can use things, for example, Light Armor has Annulment. In Undaunted, you've got Bone Shield, that's usually okay as well. But yeah, it just depends on how much max health you have usually, and max Magicka and stuff like that. But yeah, very easy dungeons, so I wouldn't bother buying this for 100,000 gold. Exact same thing basically with Swarm Mother. The final boss, I will admit, is much more difficult on hard mode, because there's like for a first dungeon, I find you'll have more potential to just get killed instantly, because the boss has like 2 projectiles that they send out at random people. Like it ignores tank aggro and shit like that. But yeah, it's still a pretty easy dungeon. The boss will die in like 20 seconds usually on like a good build. But yeah, just anytime the boss basically looks at you, just be ready to roll dodge, because they're going to throw something at you that deals a shit ton of damage. Yeah, Swarm Mother is actually pretty good. It's a good alternative to using chain skills, just basically automatic chain skills, because the biggest problem you usually have when you're trying to pull all the enemies in so that your damage dealers can easily AoE, all the little trash packs, is the ranged enemies in the back who will just try and stay away from you. And if you manage to get their attention and they hit you while you're blocking, it's just going to pull everything in. The only problem is this only really works if you're the first one to get their attention. If they're just attacking other people, it doesn't do anything. So it's kind of it's good, but it's not amazing. The One Piece is also actually pretty good, because yeah, max stats is always helpful. But yeah, you want to like opt out of this eventually with like other things and use things like Void Bash, which is easier to control when it like grabs the things you want. But you know, for tanking, it's not bad. Like it's a good starting tanking set, because usually the ranged enemies are the most dangerous when it comes to like later dungeons, especially. Not always, but yeah, it's a common theme. So yeah, Spindle Clutch 1, City of Ash 1. Spindle Clutch 1 is a little more difficult on hard mode, but yeah, it's still really easy. Alright, Iliad Refuge. This, it looks pretty good. It's pretty new and I haven't tested it at all, so sorry I don't have any information on this. But there is one thing I need to be clear about. It's the case with all of these sets. But even at green quality, the amount of damage it reduces by is still 11%. So the quality doesn't really impact the 5-piece. Obviously, it's going to impact the 2 to 4-piece a little bit. But the main theme, you're not really going to be getting any much more from using gold jewelry as opposed to just buying some like cheaper jewelry on guild stores and stuff. But the set itself it seems pretty good. The only issue is you can't really single bar this like you can with a lot of like the sort of mainstream sets, because it's not a damage set, which is kind of what you front bar usually. Like things like Shattered Fate and Orders Wrath, you usually use those on the front bar because you use them only when you're going to deal damage. This more PvP stuff, but yeah. It just 3 seconds, that's not enough time to just have this on a single bar, and it's always useful. Like Rallying Cry, for example, in PvP, that's 15 seconds, and you can just have that on the back bar, and basically it's up almost all the time, as long as you use it properly. This, you really have to be watching it in order for it to be useful. Now, 11%, that's a lot, you know, but yeah, just keeping this up constantly, it feels like it's going to be kind of difficult. So yeah, just a pretty easy to use like early game tanking set, because you can just get it from Westworld. It's just an overland set, and you know the Miramore mosaics, they are quite difficult to do, so getting jury naturally is a bit of a pain, but there is a lot of jury on guild stores I've found, so yeah, it shouldn't really be a problem. So yeah, I don't see a use of this just because the uptime is so low, but if you don't have mythics, for example, it might actually be a pretty good option, because you'll just double bar it in that case, and you know, it's decent. It seems decent anyway. Kimono Tong, basically when you kill stuff, whenever it gives you XP, you get a bunch of weapon and spell damage. Now again, 1 weapon and spell damage for every 50 XP. As far as I'm aware, this doesn't change based on quality. So because it's still 1 weapon and spell damage and 540 weapon and spell damage at like green quality, shit like that I saw, or blue quality. So again, it's not really worth it by like spending this much when the 5-piece is basically the same, but it's just that the 2 to 4 piece will be little bit better. So yeah, do you want to spend all that gold getting that? But this is a really good set for anything related to solo public dungeon XP farming. I don't think it's very good for Vadashon Hollows because... Oh no, not very Vadashon. Sorry, Black Rose Prison XP farming, because you're usually not the person who's going to be getting all the kills. Well, I mean, it might be great for the person doing the run for you that you're paying, but it wouldn't be good for you yourself. So yeah, maybe it's good there, but I'm not sure. I've never done the XP farming stuff. But basically, anywhere where you get a ton of XP, like public dungeons, dolmens and stuff, you just have to make sure you are the person killing stuff. If you're doing it with other people, its effectiveness will dwindle a bit. But it's pretty damn solid as long as you can just keep killing shit. Keep killing weak enemies, which is usually the case with public dungeons. You just get shit tons of little enemies that you can kill super quick. So yeah, really good XP farming set, this one. Medusa gives you a lot of crit chance and gives you minor force. Now again, minor force is not impacted by quality, so just buy the... Well, you can't really buy the jury for this, but... Arx Corinium is where this comes from, and this is that's a base game dungeon, and it's a pretty easy base game dungeon to do. Oh yeah, this is overland set too, by the way, so you can just get this on guild stores. Are you sure is it Black Rose? No, it's Apocrypha. Okay, that's pretty new. Getting the jury for this. How do you get jury in Apocrypha? I guess you have to do the edifices, don't you? Or is it the Bastion Nemix? Yeah, it's the Bastion Nemix, I would assume. That's kind of rough. But yeah, just whatever. I'm sure it's cheaper anyway than 100,000. Yeah. Anyway, so Medusa and Toothroad. These are both the dungeon ones, and they're both pretty easy dungeons. Arx Corinium. The only thing about this is the final boss on hard mode is fucking rough, because one. The way the like environment mechanics work in that area is like she loses taunt constantly, so she just goes attacks all the damage dealers constantly. It's fucking annoying. Not really much you can do as a tank. Just always be ready for her to just turn around and fucking slap you or scream at you and deal a shit ton of damage. But yeah, Medusa is a pretty good set, and you know, Mana Force, it is easy to get from things like Beast Trap or from things like Channeled Acceleration, but if you want it as just like a front bar damage set, especially like PvP, it's a decent option, because in those cases, I mean, you probably want to use Race Against Time because it's one of the best snare removers in the game. But if you're not using that, if you're using something else that doesn't give you Mana Force, this could be good instead. Or you just, because sometimes it's hard to use trap on players unless you get like a bunch of zero brain ones that just like chase you, just like a big mob of zergs. That might be fine, but yeah, when you just in general stuff, Minor Force is a good option that you want, and yeah, sometimes you can't get it very easily. Like for another example is like you're playing base game and the boss you're trying to go for is not. You can't go in melee without it being a fucking pain in the ass. So instead you can just use Minor Force here instead. The biggest problem you're going to have with this set though is that it's heavy armor. So if you try and use it on the body, it won't be very good for damage dealing because yeah, you'd be running heavy armor, which is not designed for bad damage dealing. So you do want this on the jury. So I will make a case for jury, but honestly, just do the dungeon. Especially since if I could take a look... So Medusa, there's like certain items that you can get from certain bosses. There's like named drops essentially, and I believe one of them is a piece of jewelry. Hang on. So you get the ring. It's still unhealthy, but yeah, you can get the from the ancient lurcher, which I'll be honest does take a while to get to. But yeah, there is a jewelry piece named there that you can get. So you'll probably get your ring quicker. In that case, yeah, jewelry might take a while, but honestly, it's base game. You shouldn't spend gold when you can just do stuff in base game. Honestly, all right. So yeah, tooth throw. This is weird, right? Because it gives you Major and Savagery and Prophecy. Again, this is the 5-piece doesn't get impacted by quality because Major, Savagery and Prophecy it's just a named buff that doesn't change. So yeah, again, not really worth doing, and it's an easy buff to get in other sources. The thing that annoys me is this comes from a dungeon, but by the time you're doing that dungeon, the kind of sets that you're going to be running are usually going to be better than this, or you usually have sources of that buff when you get to that point. In the cases that you'd want this set, I would have much preferred this be like a crafted set or like an overland set that you could easily get, and things like Mother's Sorrow. I wish that was like Leviathan, where it goes. You get that from a dungeon. So you start with Tooth Throw or Treasure Hunter, and then you go to Mother Sorrow and Leviathan later because they're better. But yeah, it's just I don't think they designed this very well. But yeah, just basically gives you the crit buff all the time. That's all this does, and it just gives you a bunch of crit chance, of stamina and stuff. Originally, it only gave you Savagery back before hybridization was a thing. But yes, it's not super important, I think. Yeah, that's all that really needs to be said about this one. It's not good, just because it's so easy to get this buff. But you know, the only circumstance where I think this would be okay is if you're trying to do like a rotation, and you want to see that like just doing testing, and you want to see the numbers that you'd pull using like a potion. Even then, like you're getting rid of one set to put this on. So, but like just doing a rotation that you'd normally have with a potion that gives you this buff, because that's normally where you get this buff from, like potions and or a specific skill. You can like do a rotation with this buff still on without using like expensive ass potions, but then you're still sacrificing some kind of buff that you wouldn't have, like that you'd naturally have when you're trying to do a rotation like that. So I can't see a good reason for that anyway. Sorry, I'm just trying to defend this set because it seems so good on paper if they actually did it right. But yeah, it's just another thing that they butchered and is just forgotten. Alright, I'll leave it there. So yeah, pretty easy set at this one. But if you have any questions, just let me know as always. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. See you next time. And take care for now.